Alrighty, welcome back everybody to the 15th week of our project development program in the programming language of Python, a Tech Bytes program where every single Wednesday at 4:30 we're continuing to work on a project, and today is no different. As of last week, we finished our third project for the year. We started this in January 2021, and over the past about 3 months, we've worked on 3 separate projects. Everybody, I believe, here has taken part in almost all of them. We started out with Mastermind, made our way to making a graphical game with tic-tac-toe, and then last week we just finished up a advanced project using some new advanced programming topics, that quiz game. So stay tuned for what we're going to be doing today. But first things first, you guys know how we got to get started off with some type of war. Let's see what that is. Guys, you guys know who we are. My name is Ryan Siddiqui, a senior at Conan High School, and just a little meme today for me. So a meme saying, if we got code, it doesn't work, we're usually wondering why does it not work? But then when it does work somehow miraculously, you're like, wait, why does it work? Now this has happened multiple times and you're just like, why is this even working? And eventually you'll find out why, but you get a similar expression. You're surprised in either way.
And my quote for today is actually a joke. Oh no. Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, wait, that's on purpose? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Okay, so the joke is, where did the hacker go? Does anyone know the answer to this?
He's a hacker. He always goes somewhere.
The cafe. He went to the cafe because that's where he hacked.
Not quite.
It was something about ransomware.
Oh, well, okay. Ryan, you can go ahead and click.
There we go, okay.
So he ran somewhere. If you, pronounce it out loud, you think he actually ran somewhere to some place. But the word that we use is ransomware, which is a type of a malicious activity that hackers do where they ask for money for you to get your information back. So that's the joke. It looks like Rayon won this time. Oh, okay, no meme, no win. I see how it is.
So meme is the popularity out here. Okay. Juicy meme lord. Wow. I use quite the compliment. Alrighty. Well, we'll keep it going, and you guys are free to bring your own quotes or anything you'd like. But today, let's get to the anticipated moment, the project which we are making. Drum roll, please. It is not a website to track Avanish's activity, but instead it is actually not Google Classroom. We're not going to be making Google Classroom.
Okay, Google Classroom.
Alrighty, well, let's call
it. What?
Yeah, all right, guys. So we're going to be coding in a new language today. It's called 2AF7IBJ. So it's like Python. Don't you worry. Here we go. No, all jokes. I believe everybody here is already signed up, but if you're not, just signed up already, guys. Come on. The product is something related to the current times, a population simulation. Now, to preface this, when we started out talking about what is Python and coding back in January, we talked about how Python, the programming language, it's a language which deals with a lot of data, a lot of websites, which you probably use. Maybe you're thinking of maybe like Instagram, right? Your social media feed, the videos which show up. They're curated to you, and the way they're brought to you is because of some data manipulation happening. So say I'm on YouTube, right? I like watching a lot of car videos. In my recommended feed, I'm probably going to see a lot more car videos. And the reason is because my data is somehow being analyzed. And that data, usually when it's being analyzed, through the language of Python. So whenever we're thinking of data, we're thinking Python. And the reason why we're sort of going into a new product, a new direction today with a simulation is because Python is a great language to do these types of simulations. Now, this product is going to entail some of the things which we've been working on over the past couple of weeks, which you guys will see. But it looks like you guys are saying the people on the left are not socially distancing. Well, that was one of the things why we're going to do this project, actually, is because of COVID-19. That'll definitely be something which we'll incorporate, but it's going to be a fun project. We'll talk more about it.
So what will we be doing? As Ryan said, we're going to create a simulation of a whole population. Now, population incorporates all sorts of people from different age group, different genders, different experiences, who experience different events throughout their lifetimes. It's related to, if you guys know about the game of life, that's also one type of simulation that is very prevalent, that people play. But yeah, that is the simulation that we will be doing, which will incorporate the COVID-19 details that we have been facing for the past year. Avanish, you raised your hand. Did you have a question? Okay.
Back down, right? All right, so let's do a quick recap of our timeline. When we start our projects, like to have a rough idea what we're going to be doing. Today, we're going to do a quick recap of some concepts which are going to be super crucial when dealing with this project, and we'll see how we're going to dive deeper into those concepts with this project as well. We're going to start off by documenting our code, laying out the steps, and creating some class, which we will need today. And then in the coming weeks, we're going to continue to work on our classes, continue coding. We'll see where we are each week and making some good progress.
And today's goal, recap classes and objects. So by now we should be pretty close to understanding what classes and objects are and how they play a role in coding. But after recapping, reviewing that topic, we'll be documenting like a list of bullet points that we will go through each week and finish the task. And then finally, we will create a people's class today.
Alrighty, so with all of that in mind, how about we do a quick little recap for you, take a couple minutes. I'm sure we are all ready and know what this is by now, but can anybody remind us a quick definition of what is a class or what is an object? What do we remember?
Okay, so basically a class is basically like, how do I say this? Like a classification. I think that's what class kind of stands for. It's a classification. For example, a saloon car, like a BMW or a Mercedes, that would be.
Yeah, it's a group. It's basically a class is basically like a group.
Yeah, so basically,
you can use to classify objects.
Let's say you have the class, like you have the class saloon cars. Then underneath it, there would be all the different brands, such as BMWs, saloon cars. There would be, I mean, though I hate to say it, what is it called? Though I hate to say it, BMW cars do have upper advantage in saloon cars, but never mind about that. So BMW saloon cars, there's a bunch of saloon car companies. So you can have like all the car companies listed. Those are the objects within the class. So that's what's basically a class.
Exactly, so we're going back to that car example, looks like, and 100% right. The idea is...
Loading. Cool.
There we go. Okay, so this is our main idea, guys, is remember, the class is the template. It's the blueprint of what the object will be. Like Rishi was talking about, and Ayush as well, the class in our car example is the basic details about a car, the engine, the number of wheels, the number of doors, all that type of stuff. And the object is the actual declaration, the actual product, which we are able to make with the class. So in our car example, the object would be an Audi, a Honda, a Lexus, whatever type of car you want to think about. So main idea, we've covered this extensively in our past project in the past 4 weeks as well. And with this project, we're going to continue to dive deeper into not only how we can create objects, but how we can sort of manipulate our objects and see the cool things we can do with that as well. So let's get this first week of coding started, and let's head on over towards our website. I will be dropping the link in the chat. Let's all.
I didn't even know we had a website. Oh, you mean Google Classroom?
Yep. So our Replit website, Amelia. The coding website.
It's not Reptile. It's Replit.
There we go. Alrighty, so let's get on start. Hopefully everybody makes on their wait list if you are having any issues. All right, so a population simulation. There's going to be a bunch of things which we're eventually going to be adding to this project, but we're going to start out today with a smaller idea. And first of all, for our step one, we like to do a quick little summary right here. For our step number one, we're going to get started off with the thing we just covered, that being a class for our population. So when we're thinking about a population, right, we got a bunch of people. In our quiz game last week we worked on, right, we had a class. We had a class for, can anybody remind us what was the class for?
Origin.
Could you repeat that, Avanish? A class of?
Origin, like it's like the general main thing, like the subject.
Yeah, so we were creating objects which were, does anybody remember specifically what was like the class, you like the purpose of the class? Well, remember, it was a question class. So we were able to use that class whenever we created a question. And when declaring our object, we passed in the question and then the right answer. And then eventually we had an extension, right? There could be multiple right answers. So today, we sort of got to think about that similarly. So in a test, right, you have many questions. In a population, you have many people. So it would make most sense for us for today, make a class about people. And this class is going to be responsible for creating a single person. And eventually we can create multiple people. But this class is going to be responsible for creating one specific person. And then eventually we can create multiple of them like we did last week, add them to an object array, and work with those as well. Ayush, that is fun. You can catch the recording if you like and see what we finished off with. So that's going to be the first thing first, which we're going to be working on, a class about people. So as we're going to go going through the other steps, start thinking about what attributes does a person have. So like attributes about a person. And these will be necessary for us to create our actual person later on. So that's going to be our step one, which we're going to start working on today. Then for step number 2, we'll continue to actually create our people. And Avanish, you were talking about a random function. Yep, definitely. When creating our people, not all of us here are the same, right? We have different ages, we have different interests, different genders, right? So all of that is going to be necessary for creating our people, and we will definitely use random functions, some random numbers probably, to decide if you do you like playing basketball, do you like playing football, or are you more prone to catching a disease based on your age? So that's something which we'll definitely use to determine the attributes about our person. After that, once we have the basic array, or say we have 50 people created, we got to start doing the actual simulation of what's going to happen to these people. Then that's where we'll start to create a events function. And in this events function, we're probably going to have to use some type of loop. What we can do is sort of simulate a day by day, week by week, whatever you guys want. If we go like a week, if you do like a day by day simulation of what happens every single day, we could have random events happen to our people. And then at the end of the day, we could see a summary of what's happened to our people. So we could see that summary could have how many people are alive, how many passed away, how many did something, how many maybe caught COVID-19. If we want to incorporate COVID, we could definitely do that as well. So sort of seeing the statistics of what's been happening each and every day. Along with that, this is a step which will sort of blend in as we work on our events function, but it's a good idea to have it sort of separate, just create a new word right there. So step 4 is going to be for us to sort of go an extra step. Last time with our quiz game, we created many objects of questions, but this time we're going to see how we can sort of manipulate those objects as well. We'll be sort of doing that with our random events in our events function, but also taking a look at, can people age? People, actually, we'll call it step 4 will be manipulating our people objects. And the way we're going to do this is by increasing the age of people. That'll play in effect, right? By seeing how their status, are they employed, are they not employed, stuff like that. How does that affect them as well? So seeing how certain variables affect our people. All right, and then as we go along, along with our project, we'll see more and more of how our people will be sort of surviving. And at the end, or I guess our final goal can be to see the idea of Darwinism out in play, the survival of the fittest. Who is the last person standing? So that'll be interesting to see who is there. See, Ayush.
Has anyone read the Lord of the Flies here?
I've heard of it, and I know what the
Actually-
main thing is. I have a feeling that if we talk about it, it's going to go into a dark part of this class.
Yeah, because I read it and I'm like, seriously?
Yeah. So yeah, the survival of the fittest kind of goes with that.
Yeah, right. About like a few boys going just practically insane.
Yeah.
It was like unique. The ending was unique, but yes, it was a good book. You'll probably read in high school too, I'm assuming. You guys go to Conan. All right. So that's our basic plan, guys. We got sort of an idea of 5 separate steps, and we'll continue to work on these as the weeks progress. But today, let's get off started with our first step, that being creating the class of a person. So remember, the syntax is pretty simple. We're just going to do class, and then we're just going to call this our person class. Add the two. We do not add any parentheses. Just add a colon. And now we have to actually start with our initialize function in our class. This will be the function where we're going to pass in the parameters, creating our actual person. So remember how we do that? It's a bit interesting. We do def, and then 2 underscores, and then init. We got Replit, which can fill it in for us. Then 2 more underscores at the end, and then open and close parentheses. We're going to need the word self.
Why are you doing the underscore?
So the way this initialize function works in any class, we always need these 2 underscores at the beginning so that we can create our object. Avanish.
Just think of it as some syntax you need to memorize.
Yeah. This makes sure that this function is called first, essentially, when our object is created. It's in Java, there's something called a constructor. It's sort of similar. It's whenever we create an object, we need something which is going to create it, right? So we need this initialize function. And then another piece of syntax which we always add is this word self. This is helps us a lot because then we're able to reference our variables, which we'll be writing as we go along. But I was telling you guys as we go along to think about some attributes about a person. So we'll need to think of what makes a person in our simulation and how will that change, right? So we can do stuff like we can do the gender of a person, we can do their age, we can do, we're going to do COVID status, right? So we can do their status of COVID, either have it, either not. What else? Anybody have any ideas, stuff they want to add?
You add the health?
Emotions,
Yep, health is super important if we're going to find out who survived.
like how they're feeling that day.
Definitely a feeling will affect how their morale is, and then probably into their health as well.
Economic status.
Definitely, yeah, we can do their, yeah, let's call it economic status. You can see, are they lower class, middle class, upper class? That should have a role in things as well. Oh, and then a super important thing, we're forgetting the main thing. The gender is important, but their name, the person's name, we'll make an array of random names and choose those as well. So that should be a pretty good list of stuff to start with, but as we go along, we can definitely add more. Alrighty. So now what we got to do is actually create some of our instance variables in our class so that we can refer to these later on. So the way we do that, remember, is do self dot, and I'll just do person name. That's going to be equal to the name parameter we're passing in. And then I'll apply the same thinking for all of our other variables. So self dot person gender is going to be equal to the gender. We'll do self dot person age is going to be equal to the age parameter. Self dot COVID status. Oh, person COVID status is equal to COVID status. Self dot person health. This will probably be some type of integer. We can start off maybe like 100, and then that it could change every day. That will be equal to the health. The self dot person feeling equal to their feeling of the day. And then finally, self.person economic status is equal to their economic status. There we go. We're initializing our variables with our class. So now we've actually created our class, and this is sort of the idea of, we created the blueprint of what a person is and how they will go about, right? And what we can do now is sort of start making way with our second step in creating our people. So if we do a quick little example right here, we can just do a example person. So I'll just say first person is equal to, and the way we do this, remember, is say the name of the class first. We add our parentheses, and then we're going to pass in. We can see REPL is pretty nice because it's an IDE. We have all of our parameters are being told to us of what we're going to pass in. So first, a name. We'll do Avanish is going to be the person being passed in today. The gender, Avanish is a male. We'll do age. Avanish is 12?
12.
12, okay. The COVID status, Avanish, hopefully. No COVID.
Yeah.
Health, healthy boy. We can actually do some, we can have maybe integers which represent. So maybe are you super healthy? Could be a 5, healthy 4, moderate 3, sick 1, and then
Dying.
dying 0. Yeah. So we'll do.
I'm a
Hold
4.
on, we're gonna be harsh on Abanish now.
I'm a 4.
You're a 4?
Are there
Okay.
gonna be like a set amount of people?
Yeah. So we can do that in
Or
just a
can you
moment.
do like, or is it possible to do like a random amount of people, like between like a certain range?
Yep. Remember something called rand range? We can definitely use that in a.
I have an idea to add to the list.
Yeah.
You know how some people have anxiety?
Yeah.
Like maybe we should add that.
But we already have emotions.
Yeah, so we can, that's a great idea, and we can definitely do that with our feeling and see how a certain day's events impacts a person's feeling. So thank you. Yep. All right, and then we had the health status. We got Avanish, we're feeling. We'll do a similar thing. We'll do represent by numbers. So we'll say 5 is happy. We can do 4 is, we can write this down so we have all of an idea. So for our COVID status, a 0 represents no COVID, and then a 1 represents COVID, hopefully not. We got our health. This will be represented by, so if 1 represents, we'll do 1 is dying, 2 is sick, 3 is moderate, 4 is okay, and then 5 is super healthy. And then we have our feelings. So this is Amelia where we can add that idea. So we'll do, how about 5 different feelings? Number 1 could be happy. Number 2 could be basic. It could be sad. Number 3 could be anxious. 4 could be angry. And then 5 could be, any ideas?
Devastated.
Maybe excited?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. We'll have 2 positive things in there. Yeah. So excited. And then for economic status, we'll do a similar thing. We'll have 3 different classes. We'll have 1 is lower status, 2 is middle class, and 3 we'll do upper status, upper class.
And then 4 will be living the life.
Four, this will not exist, but it's living the Tech Bytes life. That number 4. So
How
we
about
got
4/3?
I have an idea for that. Oh, no, sorry. I was going to ask, what do you actually mean by economic status?
So how rich how rich were you born? How rich was your family when you were born?
Oh,
Yep. So that's something which Amelia bringing
Maybe
up.
something like a family tree, like what, who they're related from, like what if their last, like they were related from some pharaoh like 500 years ago or something.
Okay, that.
well, I never
So
done a family tree thing, so.
I think the question that we would ask ourselves for that, Avanish, would be how will that affect their day, that person's day? So if they were, I don't know, the pharaoh's grandchild or something, how would that affect how much they would make per day, or if they got COVID or not? Would that actually matter?
Yeah, so if my grandpa was King Tut, I don't think it would make a difference. So my great great grandparents, all right. So yeah, exactly. And one thing which I'm reminding is we could also add a parameter for the person's
Wait,
something to
since
do
we're
with.
doing age, is there any way for you to like change the probability that like certain age ranges get it?
Yeah, so that's something we'll definitely look into. If you're like below,
Because like
uh,
for older, like above like
You can change the
50,
step.
maybe like
You can
higher.
change the step. Like the step for range, there's step. If you change the step, then you can determine how many people get it. So if usually the regular step is like by 1,
Yeah,
you can
we'll
change it by
probably also need to use like an if statement.
for sure. Yep, I use so definitely. That's something which we'll be adding in our events function eventually. The events function will be pretty long, you guys will see. But for a COVID section, if you're above like say 60 years old, the probability could be 80% you're going to get it and 20% not. But if you're below 20, your immune system is much more healthier, much more active. So we'll say maybe 70% you won't get it and 30% you will, something like that. You know what I mean? All right, so for our last parameter, I was saying we could add maybe their education level. So this can maybe help in determining what type of job they get or something of that sort. So that's something which we'll lastly add. So we'll do 1 is just high school, 2 is college, and then 3 we'll say is they're like a professional. They have a PhD. All right, so where do we leave off on Avanish? We got him, so his gender, his age, code status, health, feeling, economic status, and then, I also got to add the variable. So person, education level is equal to education level. So Avanish, we're left with economic status. All right, so Avanish, living the good life, hopefully. You're living the Tech Bytes life. So we'll say,
Fair.
so we'll do, how about middle class? And then for education level, we'll just say, Avanish, that you've completed high school for now.
All right, guys. I see an error on line 26. Anyone know what it is?
You didn't define it.
So
Like you didn't call it. Like you didn't press equal to or anything after it.
You didn't put a comma after 1.
No.
I sort of got it highlighted right there.
Yeah.
But
Hold on.
it's
I was
whichever
supposed to
one
put it-
is the right answer. That's the one I picked.
Maybe a string. Yeah, no quotations. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, for all of them.
Yep.
Yep. So
But
just
not
for
for
that
all
one,
of them.
Just for male, because male is a string.
and all of these other integers represent, we got a little key right here, so we'll know what that is all about. All right, so now if I hit run, we should get no error, and our first person is created. Now, something which we're going to start working on today is adding some more functionality to our class, because right now we can see that I'm able to make Avanish the person, but what if I want to see information about Avanish after I've created the object? So this is something which we're going to start, I guess, talking about more next week as well. But it's going to be this idea of creating functions inside of our class which return to us specific information about Avanish. So we'll see how those come into play. We could sort of start diving into those for now. So what we're going to do is create a new type of function which has a name. It's called an accessor. We'll recap this next week. We've got time right now, so we can create a couple of these for now. It's called an accessor function because we're going to access information about the person we've created, in this case, Avanish. So, I think we're going to hold off on creating those functions for next week so we have a good definition of what those are. But remember those for next week. We're going to create some functions which are going to help us retrieve information about the people we create. For today, we were talking about earlier, creating a large population size. So let's go ahead and start working on that. So this is just a way for us to create a single person below. So Avanish will be our example.
Do we create like random names for them, or does that just not matter in this case?
Yep, so let's take a look at how that's gonna work. So I'm gonna create a function called,
Because if we were like making like an actual like simulation like that has like an actual like visual like output, then like it would be cool to add like interactive like ways that if you like click on a person, it tells you like everything about them.
yep, so that's something which we'll do with the summary. But with our population, what we can do is, how about we start off by first having an array of possible names for people to be chosen from, right? So we'll do, I'll make an array called possible names. And in order to make sure that we have a lot of variability, how about I just search up a list of common names, and I'll just copy and paste that. Make our life easier, hopefully separated by comma. There we go. We'll take the top names in the past decade.
Hold on. Where did the Avanish thing go? Where did Avanish go?
I think Avanish is here. Avanish?
No,
Yeah.
I mean in the code.
Let me take a look.
You hashed it out. Okay.
Yeah, just
That's fine.
commented out, yep.
Okay, got it.
Is there seriously no list online which I can just copy?
Maybe just search for an
Yeah,
array.
just search. Yeah, and then press 93 more rows. 93 more rows. It's right down.
There we go. Oh, this guy had the same exact idea, looks like. There we go. A huge list of names. So that should be perfect. 2,738. Wow, that's a lot. Okay. Thank you. Whoever was the contributor.
Click on, yeah.
Josh. Oh,
All right. So I'm just going to
Wait,
click.
This is gonna really like clutter up like the code though.
is it gonna be laggy?
Yeah, is it possible to make like a second like document, like second like document called like names.py,
Yeah.
and then pull from that?
Yeah.
That is actually really possible. Yeah, that's something which we can do.
Yeah, because then otherwise it'll like really clutter up like the main code like so.
Yes, that's something which we can definitely do in order to access.
I think it goes import something from the file name, right?
Yeah, okay. I gotta brush up on that. I do not remember.
Here, let me try.
I believe it's a reader, right? A reader import. So how about first we'll just create a. Okay, there we go. So names.py, and then would it be?
Can you paste? Can you paste the names in there?
Yeah. Wait, would it be?
But halfway halfway
Like
through it just like cuts off.
No, no, keep it pi.
Oh, pi. Okay.
Yeah.
How did you create a new file?
Oh, I just clicked the button right next to files.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna try something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let us import. What is it? Names from names. Cool. Did it not work?
Is it?
Ah.
Oh, it's it's names.
You didn't put .py, right?
Let me search it up really quick.
You put like import names from names. Do you do like names?
Oh, it's from file import. Okay, got you. Okay, so this is JavaScript syntax. From names import. If I put the asterisk, that means just import everything. And I believe it will work. So I'm gonna say possible names is equal to names.
Yeah.
That should work.
All right. So yeah, let's try.
Cool. Sorry.
Let's try printing this out and see if we get all of our possible names. So let's call this function below. Oh, where does the? Oh, okay, so from names import like this, right? There we go. Okay, I think it's lagging. So okay,
Yeah.
there we go. Okay.
Can we just like make up names like 6 names? For
Or
now?
that, yeah. Well, let's try this. Let's say run.
Hold up, we forgot some parentheses.
There we go. Thanks.
Yeah.
We got all of our names. So it looks like this is a cool concept, which we're looking at right now. We create a separate file. We can read in that file in a sense by getting all the code. In this case, we only added the code for an array and we got all 2,700 something names. So there we go. All right, so that's the first thing which we're gonna need when creating a person. Along with that, we're gonna have to do some other things when creating a person, but the way we're gonna do that is gonna be all within a loop because we're gonna be creating, we can do, how about 50 or 100 people we'll create today, how about that? So what I'm gonna do is use a loop. Since we know how many times I'm gonna run the loop, I'll just do 4x in range of 100. Now, additionally, I'm also gonna create an array called people array. This will be the, I'll call it the population array. And this will be responsible for holding all of our people. So in order to use that array, just gotta remember, so it is a global variable. We're gonna have to call it the global population array. And now I can reference it down here. But before we actually add our people, so we're gonna do our population array dot append, we're adding a new person object like we did with our questions object array, remember that? We're gonna be adding a new person.
It said expected and indented block in line 40.
Oh, thank you, Maria. That should go away as we type more, yep. So as we create our person, we did see those parameters that showed up for a second. Okay, so we're gonna have to first of all do our name. Now we have a function which we can use from that random. I think was it Ayush or Avanish, you guys are talking about rand range. We can definitely use that. And also we can use the random right now because random has a pretty cool function when deciding what name to import. So before I actually add who we're creating, I'm gonna get the basic variables about a person sorted out. So firstly, I'm gonna do temp name is going to be equal to random dot. We had a function called dot choice from.
What does choice do?
It chooses any one random element from an array. So in this case, it would choose any random name from our array. So it's going to be our random name, and then we have the gender of a person. So in order to decide the gender of a person, we can do is use a conditional. We can either say if a, we can do, how about this? So we'll use rand range for this. We can say temp random number 1. This will be random dot rand. The functions aren't showing up. It's a rand range, right? I believe. Yeah, okay. So rand range, and then we'll do, how about, we need 3 numbers, right? So we'll do from 0 till 4. Because remember, the last number is exclusive, so 0, 1, 2, or 3. So we'll say if the temp, we'll first create actually a temp gender for our person, and this will just be empty for now. And then if the random number is equal to 0, then we'll say that the person's gender is a male. Else the random number is a 2 or a 1, then we'll say that the person is a female. And then if none of those are met, we'll just say that the person is a different
Non-binary.
Yeah. There we go. And now, essentially, the same thinking applies for all of our other things initially, because at the beginning, when a population is created, everything is random. We're not premeditating or adding any outcome initially, right? So the same is going to apply for our age. We can do a sort of copy this segment of code. So we'll say this was for determining the age. now we can go and start doing, we can do one or two more variables. We'll say determining the person's age. So for age, we have much more flexibility. So we'll do just a random number for the person's age. So we can just get rid of this actually for now and say temp age of the person is going to be random, rand range, and it could be any age from, they could be maybe just a newborn, or actually, since we're doing high school education is the minimum, let's make it high school minimum. So we'll do 18 till 100. It could be 18 to 100 years old. Then we got to do determining their
80, since that's the average age that people live to.
What is it?
80. That's
80,
the
okay.
average. That's the average age that each human lives to.
All right. And now we got to do determining the COVID status. So I'll do temp rand name number 2. Since there's only 2 options, it could be you either have it or you don't. I'm just going to do temp COVID status if our random number is equal to 0. That tells us that they do not have COVID. So temp COVID status would be equal to, we said 0 is they don't have it, right? Yep. So 0, they don't have it. Otherwise, they unfortunately do.
And so there's like the age part, during when we determine the age, can it also like right after it determines the age for a person, can it immediately determine like change like to the probability of them getting COVID, or is that going to be later?
So that's something which I was initially thinking we could do like the events function if you have a certain age, but we could, or actually if you want to keep it random initially, Ayush, but later on we'll see how these attributes play a role. Is that fine?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so looks like as we are reaching a 5:20.
Are
So,
you like on your screen on like the console? Everything's like white color. For me, there's like all the names, but it's just a bunch of red and it says error at the end.
Exactly, for me too.
Very nice. Errors is what we love.
so how about this is where we'll kick off for next week, and then let's run it again. Hopefully there should be no errors. Let me try running it. Nothing? Oh,
Hey, did you see that red?
no, we saw a flash of,
Yeah.
Hmm.
See?
okay.
Maybe scroll down.
For me, it's not
Console.
flashing. It's just like being there.
Oh, wait, wait, these are all the names. From you were just making this work. Is it names.py maybe? Is that?
Wait, what happens if we comment this out and run?
Okay, let me try refreshing the page.
Yeah, you're fine. I commented out another piece of code for possible when names equals names. So I commented that out. Hold on. Literally.
Oh no, we need that line.
It was
says
just
syntax error. EOL while scanning. Sorry. EOL while scanning string literal.
Oh,
Maybe you put too many comments in.
if you go to names.py,
yeah.
and then scroll down, this part is in red, but it turns to black in the middle. It looks like there's
Oh.
an extra Oh, yeah,
here we go,
there's
right here.
yeah, comma. And add a
That should be it.
that's
There we
so
go.
weird though.
I was messing with
What
it.
was the problem?
No,
The
it's still
coder's
there.
curse can't go through with a class without having to debug.
We probably have somewhere extra going on right here. So it looks like it's green up till here, but then
The thing is, it worked when we
We're
just
good.
printed out.
We're good. That was the issue, probably. Yeah. So you have to clear your console because of the name error.
Yeah. So it is 5:24 right now. It looks like this is an error that probably will take longer than we expect. We'll definitely look at it off screen. But yeah.
just make sure, guys, as we're going along, don't be adding or deleting anything, just to make sure
Yeah.
that we avoid all of those errors. But it is all good. It's part of the coding process, and we'll continue to work on this project next week, continue to add some new methods and make more way with our people object array. Other than that, guys, remember, no video gaming hour this Friday, and we'll catch you guys next week. See you guys.
Bye.